Have you ever heard of the town of Radburn, New Jersey? It sounds like any other suburban town, but it was actually the site of a radical social experiment. A vision for a new way of American life that in many ways went terribly wrong. This is the story of America's forgotten utopia, an experiment that should never have happened. Back in the Roaring '20s, cars were taking over. Cities were getting crowded, noisy, and dangerous. A group of architects and planners, including Clarence Stein and Henry Wright, looked at this chaos and thought, there has to be a better way. They dreamed of a town for the motor age, a place designed for people, not just for cars. Their big idea was the superblock. Instead of a grid of streets, they imagined large blocks of land with houses facing inward towards a central park. The roads for cars would be on the outside, completely separate from the pedestrian paths. Sounds pretty good, right? The plan was brilliant on paper. Kids could walk to school and play in the parks without ever having to cross a busy street. Cul-de-sacs would keep traffic slow and local. Every home would have access to beautiful green spaces. They called it Radburn, and in 1929, construction began. The dream was to create a self-sufficient community, a garden city where residents could live, work, and play in perfect harmony with nature and each other. The first families who moved in loved it. It was like living in a permanent park. The design was revolutionary, featuring underpasses for pedestrians to safely cross beneath roads. The community was tight-knit. Everything seemed perfect. The New York Times called it a new town for a new day. It was hailed as the future of American suburbs. But then, just as the dream was taking shape, disaster struck. The stock market crashed in October 1929, plunging the nation into the Great Depression. Suddenly, the money dried up. The City Housing Corporation, which was funding the project, went bankrupt. Construction halted abruptly. The grand vision for Radburn was never completed. Only a small fraction of the planned community was ever built. The factories and commercial centers that were supposed to make it self-sufficient never materialized. Instead of being a self-contained city, Radburn became what it was designed to avoid: a bedroom community for commuters heading into New York City. And that's where the problems really began. The separation of cars and people, so celebrated in theory, started to feel strange. The fronts of the houses faced the parks, but the garages and driveways were in the back. This meant deliveries, visitors, and even the homeowners themselves often used the back door as the main entrance. The beautiful front of the community, the pedestrian side, became underused. The back, the service lanes for cars, became the real social hub. It completely inverted the intended design. The social engineering aspect also had a dark side. The planners didn't just want to design a town, they wanted to design a certain type of resident. The community was exclusively for white, middle-class families. Restrictive covenants explicitly banned African Americans and, in some cases, Jewish families from buying homes. This dream of a perfect community was built on a foundation of segregation and exclusion. It wasn't a utopia for everyone. It was a carefully curated enclave for a select few. But they stripped away all the good parts of the Radburn idea. but it's a living relic, a fragment of a failed dream. So why do I say this experiment should never have happened? Because its legacy is a cautionary tale. Radburn shows us that even the most well-intentioned plans can have disastrous, unintended consequences. It teaches us that you can't separate physical design from social reality. The attempt to create a perfect, orderly world resulted in social isolation, racial exclusion, and a suburban template that has contributed to many of the problems in our modern cities. It's a powerful reminder that when we try to engineer utopia, we often end up creating something much, much worse. The road to suburban hell, it turns out, was paved with good intentions. Thanks for watching. If you found this story fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten history. See you next time.